Vijit,
Yes, sir. Ready to go.
ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A very good morning to all the TT coaches, players, parents, and who have joined us in this wonderful initiative by Sports Authority of India and the Table Tennis Federation of India. During this difficult period of lockdown, this is one of the best way, thanks to the technology, that we are able to reach out to each other, pass on our knowledge to each other, and we all can become better than what we are today. And the ultimate goal is absolutely clear, to win Olympic medals for India. You all coaches have been contributing to that impact, and I am sure every session of that has been planned will give you new insights, new ideas, and that will help you to grow and also help your students to become better players. And that is the exact objective of this. Before I go and introduce the speaker, there are some instructions and requests that I would like to make to all of y'all. That if your video is on, kindly see there's bare minimum movement of yours as some behind you as well, number one. Number two, whenever you are making a placement of your laptop or a phone or any other instrument like a PC, see that there is not light coming from behind. And when you are sitting in front of the camera, at least most of your face is seen more than the background. We would definitely love to see you and recognize you and have better interaction. And all your mic should be muted. Even if by chance the host is not muted, you have joined in late, kindly ensure mute to keep it on mute. And once the speaker starts, the session will go on completely for his talk. And after the talk, there will be a very minimal small break before we start the question answer. And there is a chat box on the bar below your screen. Use the chat box for putting in your questions. Put the question briefly and very pinpointed. That's one. Two, do not use the chat box for salutation like hello, good morning, good afternoon, welcome, thank you. If that happens, there's a possibility that we might miss out some of the questions that you have put in. So please maintain this kind of decorum so that we can have this fruitful session. And now let me introduce you to Mr. S. Raman. Of course, he doesn't need any introduction, but I would just like to briefly, just 3 points about him. One, he's an Arjuna Awardee. He received this award in 1998. He is a two-time Commonwealth gold medalist in men's doubles in 1997 and 1999. He is a national champion. He has played numerous times for India over more than a decade. And currently, he is the coach of G. Satyan, who has made us proud time and again. And he is also formed the Raman TT High Performance Center, which is Chennai based. With these few words, Raman, thank you very much for joining us and sparing your valuable time and also going to share your valuable knowledge. Please welcome. It's all yours, Raman.
Hello, coaches. Namaskar. I take this time to thank Sports Authority of India for this wonderful initiative to conduct online coaching program with our parent body, Table Tennis Federation of India, for our coaches in India. Okay. I would also like to appreciate and thank Mr. Biswajit, who is the course coordinator, and Sri Kamlesh Mehta, who is the director for this program. I hope everyone is able to hear me.
Yes, you are clear. Raman, go ahead.
Okay. So in case of power cut, I have made a contingency plan in another place, just letting you know. So kindly be patient, and we should be able to restart in 2 minutes. So let me again reiterate the topic that we are going to, I'm going to share today. It is about the method and importance of training players in different rhythms in table tennis. To make it easy to understand, I'm going to break this topic into 4 segments. So I request Biswajit to put the first slide on the screen, please. The opening slide.
Can everybody see this? So is this visible?
Can you make
Yeah.
make it on
It's
the
a
left
little
side?
blurred on my screen.
So I'll just
Now
put
it
it
is
up.
it will become clear now.
Okay. So if it's clear for everyone, that's fine. So as I said, the topic is method and importance of training players in different rhythms in table tennis. So the first segment in this is going to be understanding the nature of our sport. So I request again Mr. Vishwajit to move to the next slide, please. Yeah. So of course we all understand the sport. I also understand the sport, and like you and everyone here. But when I started working on this, I started to understand even better. And I believe that it's always a learning curve. So the first point that I would like to say is, of course, we all know that table tennis is a highly addictive sport, and a good addiction, which is why many who play the sport would always want to continue playing the sport throughout their life. So that's the good addiction that we have in our sport, which keeps us mentally and physically healthy and agile. Table tennis addresses the aptitude and intellect level of athletes, and we need to understand that. And it starts from simple to most complex ways of playing. So at the grassroots level, obviously, it's going to be at a very base level where they're going to learn the basics. But as we grow higher in the sport, it gets a little more complex. It also hits a little more on the intellect quotient, and that's why we always find the smarter player has an edge over the other player. Why? Because the spin rotation played on the ball is close to 4,000 to 5,000 RPM, and the top speed that we hit is close to 200 kilometers per hour. And all this is done in a surface area of uh, 4.18 meter square, which is close to 51.66 square feet. We all know that it is one of the world's fastest sport in individual sport. And of course, there are a lot of, not just spin and speed, but there are different angles of spin, different dimensions of speed. Everything is contained in that 51 square feet area. So this requires and calls for a high degree of physical skill and mental dexterity at every level. So there are three components that we are going to address today. The physical dexterity, the skill dexterity, and the mental dexterity required for table tennis at every level. To just put this word in Hindi, I'm not very familiar, but I just Googled and saw this word, nipunata. I don't know if my pronunciation is right. Pardon me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Dexterity means nipunata. So the first one that we are going to talk about is what is physical dexterity. Physical dexterity is the ability to perform closely controlled and purposeful physical movements. We have to underline two words in this: perform closely controlled and purposeful physical movements. When we say closely controlled and purposeful physical movements, I can I'm always looking at prompting examples when I am teaching in my session, because I believe merely sharing some knowledge doesn't register in anyone's head.
Sound is going, Vishwajit.
Sir? Sorry, sir. Any problem? Hello?
Yeah, so I believe that using examples and using some analogy and metaphor will always help in enhancing the listener to understand what we are talking here. So in that context, to understand the closely controlled and purposeful physical movements, I would use the example of the famous Olympic sprinter Usain Bolt. So obviously, when we talk about Usain Bolt, we know that he's the fastest man on the planet. He runs the fastest, and he is naturally talented, and all of that. But what we are connecting to in this context is that we all know that he runs in a track, and it's a small lane, and the rules are very clear that he should not be deviating from the lane. Even 1 inch of deviation, no matter if he's running as the fastest man on the planet, no matter he's running against all winds and currents, no matter he's running on an open outdoor stadium against the wind, but he's supposed to have control and run the race. So if he's only going to stay in his track, he's going to be a champion. So we see very much how he is able to perform closely controlled and purposeful physical movements. And that is something that table tennis also requires, because we play in a 9 by 5 table, 9 by 5 table. There are a lot of changes that have happened in the sport. Thankfully, tables have not changed. So let me also stay with 9 by 5 feet table. So you are required primarily to control the ball that comes in different axis of rotation, in different speed, in different direction, in different spin, and you're required to control everything on the table if you have to look at continuing the point and winning the point. So that's why I put the example of Usain Bolt. And as a coach, we need to put this emphasis paramount to the player, because it's one thing to move on the table, but it is one thing to move. It's other thing to move, just sprayed all over. So it's important to develop good motor skills. It's also important that it requires perceptual motor coordination for tasks requiring fine motor skills. So what are we talking here? Perceptual. What does perceptual mean? Becoming aware of something through the senses. So you learn to become aware of something that you're doing, that you're performing, that your coach has given you to do through your senses. And that is what is perceptual. I mean, just to give an example, if somebody is perceptually disabled, it only means that he is not able to sort of figuratively understand the distance from an object to himself, which means that he is lacking in perceptual motor skill. So in the same way, in table tennis, it requires a lot of perceptual motor skills to perform fine motor skills. And because it's also a very physical sport, it also requires a lot of physical agility and physical mobility. So these two are very important to go along with the closely controlled and purposeful physical movements. And if we are able to understand this and make it relevant to our sport, in our teaching methodology, in our coaching system, I think players can relate with it a lot better and develop a lot of awareness in the moves that they're doing, in the strokes that they're playing, because we are talking about a continuous float. It's not like a sport like golf, which is just one shot you hit and then you walk and then you hit the next shot. You need to have a lot of recovery and balance. So it's important that we put emphasis on these areas while we teach what we teach to our trainees. Now, to develop this further on an athlete, there are certain things that we need to work on the physical side. So I'm going to use the abbreviation SPEC. The SPEC that I'm wearing, that's the abbreviation I'm going to use. So what does that mean? S stands for strength. So the athletes need to have a good amount of strength training, but it's also important to take cognizance of the fact that athletes who are below 12 years should not be lifting too much of weights, or rather lifting no weights at all, using their body weight and doing strengthening exercises. And let me put that very clearly, and it's very important for athletes and coaches to remember that. The second in the spec is P stands for proprioception. What is proprioception? It simply means stability and balance. So as coaches, you need to work more on stability and balance when you're working with your athlete on the physical front. So you need to take this discussion along with your fitness trainer attached with your center and ensure that you're putting a lot of emphasis on stability and balance. E stands for explosive strength, explosive training. What is explosive training? It is nothing but doing vertical jumps over the cones, over flat cones, over 3-inch cones, over 5-inch cones, or our own table tennis partitions that we have. These are things that you can use depending on the age group. You need to consult with the fitness trainer and try to improve the explosive strength. And the last one is working on the core muscle strength.
Raman sir.
Stands for core muscle strength.
Raman sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, your voice is cracking.
Your voice is, you just, the entire last 1 minute voice was not clear. Can you?
Okay, I'll come back.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
so to develop these in the physical dexterity for an athlete, we need to work on what the acronym that I've coined is SPEC. When I say SPEC, it is using the spec that we wear. So where S stands for strength, so you need to put the right amount of strength training depending on the age group. You need to discuss with your fitness trainer. The next one is proprioception, which is nothing but balance and stability. So you need to work on good balance and good stability for your athletes and discuss it along with your coach, with your trainer. The third one is the explosiveness, which comes from doing a lot of vertical jumps, using cones, using your own table tennis barriers, barricades, or flat cones, depending again on the age group, which I'm sure your fitness trainer will factor into. And the last one is C, which stands for core muscles, which again is very important for you to the earlier point that we discussed, which is perform closely controlled and purposeful physical movements. So you need to pretty much take care of these 4 important areas for your athlete. And I'm sure if you just highlight this to your trainer, just in case, I'm sure he'll be able to address this and put it in his fitness protocol and help you progress with your athlete on the fitness level. So with that, I finished the first segment. I request Vishwajit to move to the next slide, please. Yeah. Now we are going to discuss why dexterity is key. What is the reason? What is the reason for dexterity to be key in this whole?
Sorry to interrupt, sir. So can you please just put your mouthpiece a little bit away so that I think it may be hearing the voice. The mouthpiece only, a little bit away.
I'm using earpods.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go a little further away. Okay.
You start from segment 2. Yeah.
Segment 2. Okay. So the segment 2 is basically why dexterity is key. Key for an athlete, for a table tennis player. What are the reasons? In my limited years of playing and coaching experience, in the last 15 years as a coach, I would think that from what I have as material from research work done by sports science doctors who are specialized in table tennis to do such research work. So I'm purely basing my points across based on what I have as I have heard from experts. So the first one is table tennis is more than 60% dexterity and skill. So there is a misnomer in the circuit that it involves a lot of physical fitness. Yes, I do understand, as I spoke in the first segment, that physical dexterity is important. And of course, when we talk physical dexterity, it is also helping the athlete to be flexible, do stretches every day and become flexible, more supple in their muscles. So coming back here, we need 60% of dexterity and skill. That's a huge amount. That's a huge volume of percentile we need for the sport. And that's something that we need to take care in all our training programs, in all our teaching methodology to our athletes. The second is uh, comes speed. Speed is 20%. Of course, we all know that our sport is one of the world's fastest sports. Obviously, speed has to be there. So speed percentage required for an athlete is 20%. And the third component is coordination, strength, and endurance, equally or proportionately, or distributed from 20%. So the third one is coordination, strength, and endurance for 20%. And if we can take this direction in our coaching manual and try to work in this mindset, and work with all our support staff, I think our players can go a long way. And some of the examples of highly dexterous players that I've come across, I've watched in very close quarters, are Anove Walner, whom he is affectionately called in the table tennis world as J.O. Waldie or Waldie, And we also know that there's a current player from the Japanese national team, Koki Niwa. He is again one other player who's got enormous dexterity when it comes to skill, when it comes to physical dexterity. So it's important that we as coaches lay emphasis on these dexterity areas. I had the opportunity to have a practice session with Wallner in his club in Kalmar during my playing days in my late 20s. So one of the things that I realized that is I have to work and improve this element in my game so that I can also maneuver the game using such skills with dexterity, and also be able to adapt and adjust when my good and tough opponents do the same to me. And I think, in my experience, this has helped me a lot not to fall like a domino effect. This has helped me understand the game better and read opponents' game better. So in my playing days, of course, I had some good challenging opponents. One is sitting right here in front of me, who's the director for this program, Sri Kamlesh Mehta. He was not only good in India, but he was also good and had his fair amount of success in the international arena. He was quite a strong, controlled, and dexterous player. The other player that I came across in my journey was much junior to me. His name is Chetan Babur. He was a very highly talented, highly dexterous player. Someone from whom I learned a lot from these two legends. And it's important to also understand that as an athlete that you can always look for resources from your own peers. You can also learn from your coaches. And there are a lot of things that can come around and help you. Especially in my case, I sort of moved out of the proper coaching system in my early 20s. So I had to figure out all my way up through the ladder. And, obviously my competitors and my peers also helped me in my journey. And I think when I understood how I can develop dexterity in my skills as an athlete, and I think that gave me a lot of fun and enjoyment in playing the sport. And my true journey in learning the game began right here. And that's what I endeavor to do for all my athletes. Sachin is one exception. Talking about him, I remember this match with Wang Chukwin, Chinese, present and future player for the Chinese national team. So even in Qatar Open, he beat Ma Long. So Satyan was bidden to play against him in Austria Open, which was in November 2018. So I was going with him to help him coach on the table as his personal coach. So just to give a brief about what happened before that, Satyan went through a bad patch. He played a pro tour and he didn't play well. He lost to not so skillful, not so good player, but nevertheless, he was definitely struggling with his form. He also shared that to me. And while his opponent Wang Chuqin came across as the youth Olympic champion, beating Harimoto, almost thrashing Harimoto in one game. He almost beat him 11-0. So he was in prime form, coming to this Austrian Open. So when I landed in Austria, the airport, I usually check my phone. I open the phone, and I got a message from Satyan saying, "No, sir, I'm going to play Wang Chuqin," and put a tag saying he's a youth Olympic champion. So I said, well, that's fine. So let's work around. Let's work what we can do, what you're good at, and let's revisit your strengths. And we had pretty much like 3 sessions. Of course, the Indian team was there, pretty much also competing in this tournament. So I had 3 sessions to work with for Satyan, and I said, let's figure out the conditions, the playing, and everything, and let's start from there. And then I started trying to help him on how to help him come out of this sudden dip in his form. So we did that, and it so happened that he had to play him on the first qualifying round itself, because it's a platinum series event. It's the top-notch event. So the draw was obviously going to be tougher and difficult. But we had a very strong game plan. He started well, but as any typical Chinese would do, he started responding to what we are doing. So they came up with different strategies and game plans, and it was going back and forth. But at one point, I realized that Satya needs to do something different in his skill. So I told him certain things that he should be doing, because he was playing. As we all know, Satya is a very fast, quick player. So he was playing quick, and obviously being a Chinese, he was also playing very fast. And the points were going even Steven. So that's when I realized that probably this is not going to sustain him for the entire match. So I said, when Sachin was coming to pick the ball, and as you know, today we can coach players pretty much between points. So I told Sachin, just try and change the pace when you're playing to his forehand. And immediately he gave a ear, and he did what he needed to do. And this guy, as a Chinese, he said, "Okay, you're giving a slow ball, let me whack it." He just went to whack and missed few, and then started to fall into bad rhythm. So once he started to fall into bad rhythm, I said, "Okay, now there's a big opportunity." Now I said, "You can go to his backhand. Now you can give long on his backhand. You can attack to his backhand with different speed variations." So all this helped him in his, in the match. And obviously, most of the credit must go to him, because he's the athlete who is in the arena playing against, a very good Chinese opponent. So the end result was, Satyan won 4-1 in his favor. So that goes to show that, if you have some sort of dexterity in your element in the game, and how dexterity plays a key role in, playing against varied opponents. Especially in the world level, you come across so many different types and different types of opponents. So just to give an example, I just shared that. So I end this segment with that. Probably, we can move to the next slide, please. Yeah, the next slide is about how to develop dexterity among our athletes. What is the method? Since I'm addressing to the coaches, I'm sure you all might be doing your own stuff. But these are things that I think I can share with you in my years of playing, and as well as learning from different coaches. I had stints in the top clubs in Germany, rubbing shoulders with one of the best coaches in Europe, and seeing the Olympic champion from Korea, Ryu Sing Min, on this arena, training along with Satyan. So I'm going to share some of the things that it can help in developing dexterity in your athletes. And the first one is, coaches must teach players the basics well and with a lot of clarity. So while we teach what we teach to our athletes, it's important that we teach the basics very well, and we put a very strong foundation, because that's the building block for an athlete. And if we can take care and concern teach the basics well, and with a lot of clarity going from our thought process, clarity going from our verbal language. I think that can go a long way in developing dexterity and putting dexterity into their game elements. And the second one is how to keep their hands and legs relaxed while performing each skill on the table, which means that you're pretty much talking about keeping the entire body in relaxed position. Of course, table tennis requires a different couched, bent position. We all know that. But in the objective of achieving that, we should never allow an athlete, if unconsciously the athlete is getting into a very stiff and tight position. So it's important for the athlete to know that your hands and legs have to be relaxed, no matter whether you're getting it right, no matter whether you're getting it at a very good skill level. So your hands and legs and your entire body needs to be relaxed, and that lays the foundation, to help in the future to develop dexterity for an athlete. And the third one is, of course, when you teach a skill, say a forehand push for a starter athlete, or a forehand counter, we need to remember that they put X number of hours and or days to improve muscle memory. It's no point in bringing everything, at one time in a basket, because then the player is not able to, juggle too many things. We all talk about multitasking, but teaching sports is not about multitasking too many things at one time. So it's very important, especially with a starter athlete, to work on X number of hours and X number of days, and ensure that he or she improves muscle memory. Once the athlete develops muscle memory, then obviously consistency in relaxed body position will improve, and with that, confidence will improve. So while the athlete is going to be in a relaxed body position, they need to develop good muscle memory and good consistency over that particular skill or stroke that they're learning from their coach. And once they do that, I think confidence is all there for the taking for them. And once they have that, I think it's much easier to go forward. And talking about the next step, what you do, okay, you have developed muscle memory on the forehand push, forehand counter, forehand topspin, whatever that skill is. So the next step would be is to go into teaching them minimal footwork movements, how to do shuffle movements, how to do jump movements, again, depending on the age category, again, depending on the response of the athlete, the agility and the mobility that each athlete has. So, accordingly, you can minimize and probably go a little further and maximize if the athlete is a very agile and, a very fast athlete. So, but keeping the first 3 points in mind, you should put them onto, some kind of basic footwork movements, and helping them to understand that they can do the same skill with some movements too. And once they're able to achieve that, again with X number of hours and days, I think then we are, really hitting the next level of developing dexterity in their skills. And, what do you pretty much do with that? Say, for example, a forehand and backhand push or a topspin. We all know how pretty much a forehand topspin works, how a backhand push works, how a forehand push works. But what we are talking here is not just the placement of the ball, because many times I've come across coaches talking about, putting the right placement. Yes, of course, placement of the ball is very important, but putting it in different rhythms, putting it in different speed, putting it in different spin is about the sport. It's about the core element of the sport. And to do that, I think one needs to take a longer action for a particular type of ball, a medium action and a short action. So which means that you're pretty much altering and disturbing the rhythm of play. And of course you can go that into doing on the ball, because end of the day the racket is connecting with the ball. That's the contact that it has between racket and ball. They speak a unique language, and you need to understand that again on the contact of the ball, you need to go with soft touch, soft hit on the ball. Again, depends on what you're doing. If you're keeping the ball short with push, forehand push, you can go soft touch and use your wrist. And if you're trying to give a medium touch and push, then you can give a half long ball. And then again, in the same action, you can give a long ball, hitting the ball on the center, hitting the ball on the center, which is the forehead. If my head is a ball, hitting it on the center. Obviously, if it is a lot of backspin, then you go under the ball. So there are different types and rhythms by which these our players need to understand how to understand this. And of course, we can talk about different types of spin, different types of angles. Spin is a tough spin. But what differentiates long soft spin from hard soft spin? The quality of spin, the quality of speed, the quality of control, the quality of angles, the quality of maneuvering, the quality of deception. These are things that we are talking here, and all this comes in the form of dexterity. But of course, we have to remember that you need to know how you can go with your player step by step. It's very important that you take the first step, which is teaching the basics right, a lot of clarity. The second step, which is hands and legs relaxed, putting X number of hours, number of days, and improving their muscle memory, seeing their confidence on their face, and then going into these kind of skills. So, you might have 20 or 30 players in your academy, but each player is different, and each one's requirement is different. A player A is doing something doesn't mean B player should be doing. You need to remember that, except for the basic warm-up, especially when you're talking about, developing dexterity and skills. You need to remember that each one, like our, 5 fingers on our hands, they're different. So each player is going to be different, skillfully different, talented. And it's our job to identify what this player is, most comfortable at, and pick those ones. Because when you give something to them as a menu, which they love the most, which they think they are good at, and I think that creates a lot of positive energy and vibes. And that is fundamentally important to take this in their journey. Because once you give them something that they're not good at right away, then they're going to take a back foot, and they're not going to be comfortable in the sport. They think that they're not born for the sport. Maybe they're not good for the sport. And a lot of negative emotions, expressions come out. It could be anger, it could be anxiety, it could be, I don't want to go to the hall, I don't want to play. My coach keeps teaching me, but I'm not able to learn. So it's very important at the early stages that you teach, what is ideal for an athlete, for that particular athlete. Understand what they can be good at. Of course, the initial stages, you need a trial and see if they can do this, and then, further from there. So it's very important that, we keep motivating while they are doing this and encourage them to do in practice sessions. And once you're able to achieve that, I always believe in our high performance center here that I develop such skills only after analyzing the present level of game, what's their need, what they can pick relatively easier, make a checklist and customize for each player. Because now we are not doing the basic teaching of, just the skill, just the forehand, backhand. We are moving into the next step. So we need to factor these elements into customizing for each player. Make a checklist for each one. Maybe ask the player to make a note of it. If coach cannot keep every complete list of everyone's, the player can have a notebook and note it in his diary. I remember hearing this and seeing this from Kamlesh doing this as a player, and I also learned that in my journey, and I use that in my teaching methodology. So it's very important that you make a checklist and you customize to each player. Make them do these new skill sets so that they become second skin for them. It's very important that it becomes a second skin for each of the athlete. So if a player A and B is doing the same skill, at different speed, at different spin, and the player A has, acquired, better levels of consistency and confidence, doesn't mean the player B also has to move to the next level. So you need to know how you can understand this, how you can educate the athlete, without, putting the player B down, without letting him, make him feel down. But you need to, take it as it comes, and obviously we all work with, passion and without bias. So it's important that, you educate the player, and we're not putting them in peer pressure in this rat race of, just running the journey, but not knowing what the destination is, because it's very important that the athlete knows where they are moving. So in this context, even during this lockdown time, as we all know from social media, Satyan has a checklist of on the table skills that I have charted out for him, which he does at home. He sends me videos, and I try to analyze and try to work on each of that, and try to tell him what best I can tell him, over a call, over a video call, and see that he's improvising those skills. I mean, obviously, at this level where he's playing, everything remains the same: the banana, the forehand, the backhand, topspin, serves, and all of that. But there is something that you can always do to improvise one bit further, because our goal is, to get him to move into the top 12, top 15 in the world rankings before Olympics. Thankfully, the Olympics got moved, so which means he's gaining another year to achieve his goal of getting into the top 15 or top 12 before Olympics, because that can set the tone for him when he's going into the Olympics. There's a famous quote from Pat Bailey. He says, "Excellence is the gradual result of always striving to do better." I repeat it again. Excellence is a gradual result of always striving to do better. And that's what at least like Satya needs to be cut out for, because he's already on that level. So he's not going to learn the skill, but he's going to improvise on the skill. And why Chinese are the best in the business? Because this is what they do. They work on making it better and better each time, each day, and each session, or each period of time that they are having training in their training centers. So Chinese do this better, and it helps them. And the next one is, of course, players want to stay in their own comfort zone. It's the job of a coach to push the players to do those in matches. How do you set it up? You must encourage them to do it in practice sessions when they play mock games. Take those mock games, take those practice games seriously, and try out those sessions, try out those skills. And the coach needs to observe, how he's becoming akin to this particular skill. And that sets the tone for putting up in a match situation. Again, when it comes to match, there will be a withdrawal. I've noticed with even the likes of, Amal Raj, who trained with me, and then Satyan, and so many of them who train with me now. There's always a comfort zone. Like as an athlete, I also have to have the comfort zone. So it's important to push them and to pull them out of that comfort zone, because otherwise you're going to lose more matches. But by coming out of the comfort zone, you might still lose some matches, but it is not losing. As Kamlesh beautifully mentioned yesterday, it is not losing, but it is a learning curve. It is a lesson that you have learned. It's an experiential gain, in this learning. So in this context, I would recommend, or I rather read this book on Abhinav Bindra's A Short to History. It's a must read and narrates this point among many points very well. How he dared to move out of his comfort zone just before 2000 Beijing Olympics. Obviously we all know that he won the Olympic gold then. The first ever to claim the summit of winning an individual Olympic medal for our country. But as I read through this book, I've always seen that in many places he's always trying out, tampering with his skill, tampering with his technique of holding the gun, of standing, how he stands, how he positions, how his eyes are. So in our sport we need to make it relevant, because end of the day, we need to understand that an athlete has to move out from the comfort zone. So if you have everything under control, you're not moving fast enough. This is not my quote. Again, I borrowed it from Mario Andretti. He says, if you're having everything under control, you're not moving fast enough. So you need to tell the athletes, once they come to a level, they'll think that, oh, I'm good at, so let me, stay here and, enjoy this, time. Yes, you need to enjoy, you need to be happy, you need to celebrate, but it's important to climb the next ladder. And obviously, when you do all this, please keep in mind, coaches, that training sessions need to be intense, need to be serious, but there should be a small segment of 10, 15 minutes where they can have loads of fun and they can just explore. They can explore and take back those fun elements and go happy from the session. Now we are going to, probably show a video, and I think we'll do the segment 4 before we get into the video. Yeah. So thanks for the next slide. We are going to talk about benefits of mental dexterity. Obviously, ability to tackle different types of playing styles. In table tennis, we have the right-handers, the left-handers, and we have different variety of rubbers.
So Bishwajit here, sorry to intervene, sir. Just a moment.
No, we can go ahead and then do that after this.
So, just received an instruction from the head office. I just want to relay it to all the Sai coaches once. That,
okay.
All the Sai coaches, please make sure that you stay back after the session and after the meeting is over. Please do not leave the meeting. Okay, this is an instruction that I have received from the head office. So all the Sai coaches, please do not leave the meeting after this session is over. मैं हिंदी में और एक बार रिपीट कर देता हूँ, जितने भी साई के कोचेज हैं यहाँ इस मीटिंग में अटेंड कर रहे हैं, उनका अभी मीटिंग के बाद अभी आप इसको लीव मत करना. Your attendance will be counted. Thank you, sir. Sorry to intervene.
No problem. Thank you. Vishwajit, can you just play the video? Because I just want to talk about, where I'm going to show some, on this topic of dexterity and, how dexterity can help. So I could just do in this lockdown period. I'm putting a disclaimer. It is done in my own house. I've not gone outside of my house. I believe in being a good citizen. I've not moved out of my house for the last 25 odd days during the lockdown period. So you can just watch this video where I'm trying to show how on one particular ball how you can play in different types. Over to you, Vishwajit. You can just start the.
Hello coaches. Now I'm going to demonstrate certain skill sets on dexterity and how your players can use in different match situations. The first one is playing the short ball. You must always encourage your player to take the short ball early. Keeping it short. Keeping long. Forehand flick cross. Forehand flick straight. Forehand side. The next one, we're going to show you how you can hit backhand spin on both sides. Again, trying to maneuver and not showing the opponent where you're going to hit. Cross, straight, cross. The next one, we are going to demonstrate and show you how you can tackle short balls in various different ways. Keeping it short, doing banana, strawberry, dosa or pancake cake, doing banana. The last one, we are going to show you how we can hit forehand balls, long balls to the forehand, and how we can hit on both sides. Again, you're going to camouflage and hit so you don't show it to the opponent where you're going to hit. Cross, straight, cross, straight, cross. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks, Vishwajit. Now we can go to the next slide. So, as you would have seen in this video, obviously I'm not talking about how to teach these, dexterity in skills, because that's an entirely different session. We need another, entirely one session to do that. And of course, you need a lot of, playing arena, partner to play with. So I'm just trying to show you on one particular ball, what are the different things that you can do. And that's pretty much that we are talking. That's the, core essence of this sessions, how to improve skill dexterity into your athlete's game system. So the next segment is benefits of mental dexterity. Of course, the big first benefit is ability to tackle different types of playing styles. You come across right-handers, left-handers, pimple players, short pimple players, defense players. Uh, uh, Unlike tennis, it's not just racket and strings. Here you have different types of rubbers coming in, so you need to be really adept at and have the ability to play different types of playing styles. And one of the big benefit that you will have is if you have the mental dexterity. The second one is ability to learn to play in different playing conditions. You play in India. In India, you play in different playing conditions up, in the north, in hilly regions, down south, in plateaus, humid conditions. So, and then you play abroad. There are again very different conditions. There is atmospheric pressure in the hall. There is air conditioning. There are different tables used. There are different balls used. So we are talking about different playing conditions. And if you have the mental dexterity, I think then you will have the ability to learn to play in different playing conditions. The third one is ability to win matches from tough situations. Yes, that's a very big important point for each one of us, because our athlete always comes across saying, "Oh, I played a good match, but I couldn't pull it across." One of the examples that I can share in brief is, I was there at the Asian Games, coaching Satyan as his personal coach. I traveled along the way in the belief that India could win its first ever medal. And for India, Satyan was playing, and obviously, he played Chinese Taipei in the group rounds. Both were tough opponents, higher ranked opponents, higher rated opponents, and he lost to both of them. But he was almost into tears. He couldn't talk, he couldn't digest, he couldn't sleep. And there was a lot of difficulty around that time. And thankfully, since I was there, then I could talk to him in person. Then we had a long call over the night, and I ensured that pretty much that he's coming out of this. And I made him believe that tomorrow is a fresh day, it's a fresh start, it's a new beginning, and anything could happen. And till that time, I kept on and on. I didn't allow him to, keep his phone down and mull over this loss. So which really helped. In the context that the following day, the draw came out by lots, and India was pitted against playing with Japan. And obviously, Japan being formidable opponents as they are, Satyan, full credit to him for his resilience, for his courage to fight it out and come out of this, mental low. He showed a lot of character. He went about in the practice, and I asked him how he felt, and he told me. And then I told him, "This is what you're going to play against these players. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to sit in the gallery and support along with the Indian team." And the rest is history. He went on to win 2 matches, and Sharath won 1 match, and India won the first ever historic medal in Asian Games. And I was so excited to be a part of. In fact, my wife Bhuvaneshwari, she was also a former international player. She was also there cheering Indian team. So we see how much mental dexterity, resilience helps in overcoming such kind of situation. And sport is about that. You might have a bad day, but you're not going to have a bad year. If you can sit with your coach and plug those areas, you will come back to form very quickly. And the next one is ability to reach top level in world table tennis. Obviously, if you have mental dexterity to adapt, to be willing to try out different things, then you learn to adapt to many different styles and reach the top level in world table tennis. The next one is ability to have longevity in the sport at the top level. Obviously, we all know how long Kamlesh played, and how much he served the country, and how much Sharath is playing now and serving the country. So these are examples of people who develop mental dexterity into their ecosystem, into their playing methodology and style. And the last one is ability to be a consistent performer for long periods of time. That's very important, because if you're going to be up and down and swinging up and down, it's not going to give you that foothold. It's not going to give you that confidence. And confidence is very important for an athlete. How much ever the coach can work on the athlete, but end of the day, the player should feel confident. And how to become confident? If you develop, physical dexterity, skill dexterity, and pack it up with, round it up with mental dexterity, I think it can go a long way. Just to finish, the last points is, when I took Satyan, uh, he obviously wanted to take coaching from me, but I said, we are going to get into hiring a good fitness coach. Then we hired Ramji, who was best in the business in the country. Then I said, we're going to have a mental conditioning coach. And, we started having them on board. So it's very important that you develop a good ecosystem for that athlete. So it's not just merely our coaching that can contribute. The strength and conditioning coach, the analyst, the mental conditioner, the fitness trainer, all of them, the nutritionist. I said, you're not strong enough. You need to develop your strength quotient. So, we brought the nutritionist on board. So one of the things that I told him when I took him on board is, what's your goal? So he said, well, sir, I want to come into, 200 and then 100. I said, no, my goal is top 50. Straight away I said top 50. I said, sir, that's too big. That's too high. How am I going to do that? Because I'm somewhere in 400, and so 400 is pretty much a no ranking, so to speak. So, but we have done this. We have journeyed this along. I have taken this physical limitations into consideration and developed around that all these dexterous skills. And obviously, the much of the credit should go to him, because he has been the one who has absorbed and was retained and was, again reproduced on the table. So that's why, he's able to do that in a 6-year period that we have journeyed and in the top 25 in the world ranking. I always believe that ability is what you are capable of doing. Motivation is determines what you do, and attitude determines how well you do it. The first is ability, is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. So, these are my concluding remarks. And may I request to go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So, this is what I figured out in my years of playing and coaching experience. It should pretty much take 10 to 12 years to produce a world-class player from India. And the first 4 years will be on foundation and junior level. It should not be more than that. And we need to really work on a bunch of talent and really push them. And the next 6 to 8 years is to develop world-class players. With a talent pool of 8 to 10 players, I believe, we can produce, top-notch world players, world champions, Olympic champions, all of that. But you need to, really use this time productively in this formative years and move to the next level and allow them to progress at a good speed, but not, disregarding the fact that they're not able to catch up with this. So if we can do that as a team, as coaches spread across the country, I think we are there for the taking. And my benchmark is, produce top 25 world ranked player. After Satyan, I hope that he'll hit the top 10 in the world in the coming years. He is in his prime. But then the goal for me as a coach in my next 15 years of my coaching is, push this benchmark to, achieve top 25, 20 world ranking before they finish their teens, which means we are talking about before they are 18, 19 years old. And if we can do that only by, getting into the first 4 years of foundation and junior level training, and then accelerating them into world-class athletes. So with that, I would like to, finish my discussion and, leave it to the question and answer session. I would also like to thank my wife, Bona, my former international player, and who has been of great support for me in my purest pursuit for Olympic glory. I also thank my daughter and son for helping me put this across, in such short time. Now over to you, Kamlesh and Roy, for putting up the question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Raman. And it was a wonderful, important information and knowledge you shared, which you have gone through and now you are putting in practice through Satyan. Well, viewers, all the participants, Raman has stressed a lot on dexterity, which in in Hindi mean with nipunyata or Marathi mein kaushalyata. So basically it's your skill and balance, stability, and also to look at that every player has to be treated separately, and ensure that you please note down things, because noting down is very important, which will help you to grow as well as you help the players to grow. And if you want to achieve something big, you have to first dream big, and you have to get out of your comfort zone and have to work very, very hard. Intense, of course, there is some fun in it, but these are some of the few points which he's mentioned. And also, he's also shown his dream and his wish in the next coming years to take India to the next level. That's fantastic, Raman. It was
Yes.
fantastic insight in what you have given us. Thank you so much for your valuable time. And there are many questions come, but yeah, looking at the time frame, we will select some of the questions which are, and most of the questions are very similar. So I just put up some questions. At the same time, I'm also would like to mention here that in this conversation, we are very happy to have so many people. Even we have Mr. Dhanraj Chaudhary, advisor to Table Tennis Federation of India. Dhanjanji, thank you for your support always and what you have done for table tennis. And we also
Hello, sir.
have
Good
very
afternoon.
renowned coaches, Sandeep Gupta, Basak, Arup Basak is there, and Muralidhar Rao is there. All these people have contributed, and so many others are there. All thank you very much. And now, Raman, I'll just go to the question. The first is, you spoke about very important skill, which is perceptual motor skill. What are the
Yeah.
off-table and on-table drills you want to suggest to improve this skill?
Well, I think probably throwing balls at different speed in quick time and helping the athlete to run to the ball. Uh, you know, uh, you know, uh, Probably have to keep their eyes closed and you just give us a small whistle or something, and they open their eyes. Immediately, they're going to run to catch the ball. The run need not be very long, but it can be very short. But it's important for them to understand in what trajectory the ball is coming, in what speed the ball is coming. Especially, it's very relevant to keep the ball more in a horizontal plane, because table tennis is played more on a horizontal plane, like badminton. It's more on the vertical plane. And then of course we can do many exercises, props, using props to develop. On the table you can do a lot of different speed training with multi-ball and help the athlete know that this is a slow ball and they need to go and wait and then play the ball. This is a fast ball, so they need to go and knock the ball early. So the body is moving in one speed, but the body needs to coordinate with the ball. In the day we are playing with the ball. So it's important that the education starts from there while they are doing what they are doing in training session multi-ball.
Okay. Next is, as a coach, if you identify a player who have potential to do wonders, but the player is not working hard and not serious, do you think as a coach we should give our best time and efforts on that player?
Yes, it's a famous quote saying, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." I repeat again, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I do have talented athletes in my center, like Paresh and Arun and Varun, and they're all young athletes, 13 to 15 age group. Obviously, they also pretty much know how much of talent they have. But it's important to drill this in their heads that hard work only takes them to where they can, really belong, and not the talent. And in our own careers, we have seen so many talented players, but they've not gone far. But it is the hard work that takes them along. And of course, their response system might be different, but it's important to talk to them, talk to their parents, understand what is the ecosystem around which these kind of reactions are coming from the athlete. It's also important to work with a mental conditioning coach and make them address these issues, because we often find that when we engage the mental conditioning coach, the players open up much more than the skill coach. So because they have one-on-one session, and they have their own, because they are sports psychologists, performance psychologists. So they have their own way of getting out from their head why they are not motivated. What is the reason? What is restricting them? Obviously, they will be loving the sport. So I take a lot of inputs from them. I try to see how I can, use inputs into, helping them to develop passion and develop hard work through that into their sporting system.
Okay. There's one. What is the difference between the Chinese players and the Indian players in relationship with proprioception?
Balance and stability, it's simply put, it's not like, you just show balance on a, baseball ball or on a, ball or something. Here we are talking about playing the fastest sport and trying to balance while you're playing the ball, which comes at 200 kilometers per hour. So obviously, and it comes in any different direction. So obviously, you're talking about a very high degree of balance and stability, proprioception. So this is not to come overnight, but it's a constant endeavor that each athlete should work on. Ideally, a shorter athlete will have better balance and better stability because his gait is very good. With a taller athlete, his gait will be poor because he is very tall. So he needs to work a little more on body balance and stability. For Satyan, it was an advantage because he was short. But he always thought that I need to be having muscle mass. I need to be having very good height to reach that level. I said, sport doesn't require that. So it's a constant endeavor. That's why when I said spec, one of the things that I said is proprioception and core. Working on the core muscles helps you develop a lot of stability. And again, working on balance helps you develop a lot of proprioception.
Okay. There's very similar questions. One is that is normally asked. That is, in a match situation, invariably a player is scared or has got tightness of muscles due to nervousness. How do we solve it? One, and secondly, the dexterity. How is there any test to measure dexterity? Hello, can you hear me? Raman, can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, I'll repeat there. There are many questions which are very similar on this line, so I'll just put it all together. Is that in match situation, invariably many players feel tightness of muscles due to nervousness, and they are scared to play. So, what is the way to overcome that?
It all starts with training. So obviously, when you're in training session, you need to understand how your body is responding to it. So when you play, typically create a artificial match situation, you need to play with the same intensity, same nerves, and same vigor. It's very difficult to create the same nerves, but you need to put the best effort and not fool around. And that is number one. The number two is, of course, when your player is playing a particular match, you draw a lot of insights and inputs, whether she wins that match or loses that match. And you need to identify why he won, why he lost, and what helped him, whether it is because the opponent's playing style suits him, or despite not having a very suitable opponent playing style, still he could do well, and then try to get the reasons. What was his mental state the previous day, the previous week, and what was his workload in the last week, what he did in terms of working on the mental side. So there's a lot of things that comes along, and you need to put that in a journal and make the athlete understand, make the athlete to write and give your inputs to write on that, and share it with your mental conditioning coach. So all this is a combined effort, and it's very fundamentally important that the athlete develop awareness. It's not like buying a lottery ticket. Let's not make it a lottery ticket. I always believe in that. Success or big wins doesn't come like a lottery ticket. It comes by a lot of these kinds of concentrated effort from each one of your team member. And when it's team member, it's obviously the skill coach, headed by the skill coach, and then supported by all the support staff around. So there has to be a constant sharing of information, carrying of knowledge, and trust has to be built around with your team. So this helps grow and helps the player understand how he's able to perform at his best.
Yeah, we'll take one or two questions maximum now. One is, after teaching the basics, on what the basis does the coach decide which element in dexterity tweak? Example, different rhythms or different speed or different spin or trajectory.
Yeah. Again, obviously, each athlete, as I said, as our 5 fingers are different. Player A will be responding very well. So then you can go to, teaching different spin elements. different contact point on the ball. But the other player who is at the same age is not able to understand what you are sharing. These are things you need to try and see if the athlete is able to understand what you are trying to educate them. And if it is not happening, I think you need to pull back and revisit with a different idea, the different method of, probably then you can just teach them to play in slow action, in faster action, in longer action, in different trajectories, going upward and then going a little more horizontal and more horizontal. Those things, somebody might be very good in hand skills. So you can do a lot of these things with that athlete. But somebody would be very good in not only hand skills, but, understanding with the ball. And when you're talking about hitting the ball on the head, on the forehead, hitting the ball on the top, or hitting the ball on the bottom, or hitting the ball on the side, on the right side, on the left side, there are some athletes, they would respond beyond their age. You can take it across to them. But ideally, it's better you go step by step and ensure that even the smartest athlete is, very savvy to what you're teaching.
Yeah, one last question. Sir, is meditation good for our mental health and development of dexterity and anticipation? And does it help?
Oh yeah, it's a very, very great tool. I know I started doing yoga uh, during my last phase of my sporting career. Yoga helps, meditation helps a long way. If you have faith in God, then you can do that. You can do some meditation because it brings a lot of a lot of cluster of thoughts that goes around in your head as an athlete. Because you're always constantly living in pressure cooker situation. There's pressure from the coach, pressure from the environment, pressure from your parents, pressure from school, pressure from your association, federation, and all of that comes. So, meditation helps in, bringing it down and, getting a good ecosystem on your head, and also develop a lot of, good relaxation into your system, by which you can, develop good parasympathetic nerves, because when you're on, when you're in playing, you're always doing, fight mode, you're in fight and flight mode. But and that's calling for sympathetic nervous system, because then the nerves are working very fast and there is too much of that happening. But when you do meditation, you can really relax your nervous system, and you can develop a good parasympathetic nervous system to counter that. That will help you, be again ready to go into a match play. Otherwise, you're only on fight and flight mode, and it does a lot of internal damage. It does a lot of damage on the head, damage on the physique, the body, and you'll start to also have a lot of indications on stiffness, on injuries, on mental issues, stubbornness, and all of that. So meditation does definitely goes a long way, and I'm sure Europeans, Chinese, I'm sure they'll be adopting their own form of meditation. The form probably changes between continents, but meditation is certainly a very, very important ingredient to help a player grow in the sport.
Thank you very much, Raman, and thank you all the participants for being very disciplined and participating in this wonderful topic. And once again, thanking Sports Authority of India and Table Tennis Federation of India for bringing this wonderful initiative to us at our home. In this time, it's really one lot of thoughts to be thought about and also implemented. And wishing you all, please stay home and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you again. Thank you all, coaches, listeners, Kamlesh, who is explaining this whole program, Biswajit, for the coordination. I'm sure there'll be a lot of learning in this journey as we get many different speakers along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be joining again tomorrow as per schedule. Tomorrow again we'll be having another session. So request